starting in verse 16. He says, "Behold, I send you out as sheep in the midst of wolves," right? And that's not a light thing. It's a pretty heavy-duty thing. "Therefore, be as wise as serpents and as harmless as doves," right? We have a mission to do in this world. We are supposed to go out into this place where they don't like us. They're going to seek to kill us, right? It's a promise he made. That. And they are starting to already lean in that direction, I notice, more and more. They're starting to try to drag Christianity into this whole argument that's going on in our country, right? Why is our country so divided? I thought about that. What does it say in our Pledge of Allegiance? One nation, under God, indivisible. We are not under God anymore. As a matter of fact, we outright refuse to be under God. People get upset when I say this, but there are certain factions in this country that have deplatformed God. Said that God flat out doesn't exist, right? This is why we're so easily divided, to hate one another, right? If you're not under God, hate is an easy thing to sell. It's a lot harder. When we had the common unity and the common goal of being a nation under God, that was the foremost thing. We were going to go towards God, and God is love. Without God, there is no love. I don't care what you try to dress up and sell as love. With no God, there is no love. There's no such thing as love. Humanity doesn't admit it, but we learned love from God. We didn't come up with it on our own. It's not something that we felt because we're pure and virtuous and just, right? God taught us how to love by loving us first. And then we loved each other, right? Amen. And Him. We try to, like Ed said. I don't love God the way I should, you know? And the wind just blew my page over. So be wise out there. We're not supposed to go out there and start a bunch of trouble. But you do have to, I think it's come to the point in this country where there are a lot of things going on that you can say, wait a minute, this is just absolutely against God. And we have to figure out a way to be as wise as the snakes that are around us and still speak the truth in love, being as harmless as we can about it, right? But I don't think it's profitable for any of us to just go along with this nonsense that we know is completely against the Bible and just be quiet the way we've already done. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, there was a lady raped the other day on a train, and the people just stood by and watched. They watched. But they watched them load the people into the trains to Auschwitz too. They watched. See, watching this crap going on is just as bad as taking part in it sometimes. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. Like Ed said, I certainly don't want to offend anybody away from the gospel of Jesus Christ. But I think at some point, if you really believe in the gospel of Jesus Christ, it's okay to start speaking out against the things that you know are against God. And say, nope, I'm not going to fight with you. I'm not going to argue with you. Because in reality, you don't have an argument. There is no wisdom or counsel or knowledge or understanding against the Lord. Right? Isn't that what it says in Proverbs? There ain't no argument against God. And that's, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but we have to start speaking up, guys. We do. There is no way out of what we're in without Christ. It's not going to happen. The government's not coming to save us. I'm sorry. It's not going to happen. Christ will help us and rescue us and bless us if we ask Him to please forgive us for being prideful and put our nation back under Him where it belongs. The chances of that happening are probably very slim, right? We can try to change one heart at a time, and we should, and we have to, right? It's the only thing that's going to change anything in this earth. The only thing. There ain't nothing else. I can get mad, and I was mad on the way over here. It's not going to help. Doesn't help. I should have learned that in 45 years of being mad, that being mad never helps anything, right? It just makes you have to deal with all the crap you just screwed up while you were mad, and then still deal with whatever problem made you mad in the first place, right? But you can tell people in love, no, actually, you're acting foolish. You're acting out against God. You're lashing out against God. There's things literally that they want to teach children in schools right now that were a crime 5 years ago, people. It was a crime to speak to a child about some of these things that they want to teach 5-year-olds about. A crime. Think about that. And now they're saying you have no right to say it's a crime. You have no right to even speak out against it because you're just speaking out against things. Well, that's against our Constitution. that says you have a right to speak, right? You may be an idiot, right? You may have no logic, you may have no good ideas, you may have no right to even say what you're saying, but you have a right to say it, unfortunately, right? That's it. And we have a right to tell people everything is broken because we refuse to acknowledge God as the creator of the universe. And accept the fact that we were the most blessed nation in the history of the world for that simple reason, and that simple reason alone. Not because we're great, not because of anything, because we said, hey, you know what would be a good idea if we try to put our country under God, since we're so screwed up? Let's make this thing where all men are created equal. Show me one other country, since the United States is so bad, show me one other country from the whole earth where it says that in their constitution. First of all, that men are created. And second of all, that we all really are the same. We're equal. And yeah, we screwed it up from the get-go. We made a lot of mistakes. We had a long, bloody road till now, right? But did we just turn around and go back to where we started from? We came a long, bloody road till now to make things better. Under that idea that it's a good idea to have God as the ruler of the nation, not a bunch of men, right? Men want to do what they want to do. It says, beware of men in verse 17. They're going to deliver you up to councils and scourge you in their synagogues, right? You'll be brought before governors and kings for my sake, right? Because they're pretty soon not going to want us to talk about Jesus, and they already don't on YouTube, right, Ed?
Right.
They don't want us talking about Jesus, guys. In the end, they will finally figure out, right now they're being led around by Satan, right? But they will figure out who the real enemy is. They keep trying to make the enemy this or the enemy that. But when they finally figure out that the enemy is Jesus Christ, they're going to come after us. Then they're starting to figure it out. The devil's slowly revealing it to them.
Yes, they are.
But when they finally figure it out, it's going to be on. It's not going to be a little tete-a-tete back and forth type of a war thing anymore. It's going to be, nope, this is the guilty party and let's get them. That's it. He's telling us. He's warning us of this, right? It's not me. I'm not saying this. This is Christ speaking here, right? They're going to deliver you up to governors and kings for my sake as a testimony to them and to the Gentiles. But when they deliver you up, do not worry about how or what you should speak, for it will be given to you in that hour what you should speak. For it is not you who speaks, but the Spirit of your Father who speaks in you. And I think that's a very important thing, because Ed's been saying, it's not for me to just talk or him to just talk or him or you or anybody can talk here. And as a matter of fact, that is the only goal of this church, is that we come here, learn together, go out into the world and talk about the things we talk about here, right? Because it's all fine and good if we all just sit here and talk, but if we don't go out there and talk, it doesn't do this job right here.
One-on-one.
And he's saying don't worry about it, yeah. If you keep doing this, if you decide, yeah, you know what, and that's what worries me, folks, when I see tiny liberties being attacked and people do nothing. We have done nothing, guys. We have. We're just quiet. We just do what we're told. And I know we're trying to be good people, trying to be concerned for others. And that's how they attack our hearts. They do that on purpose. It says in the Chinese art of war, attack the hearts and you get the minds. Hearts and minds. Hearts and minds. They say that in the military all the time. Hearts and minds. It's from 786 AD. It's a very old philosophy. So is this. It's 2,400 years old. Wearing masks is 2,400 years old. Just remember that. And if you decide I'm going to keep speaking about Jesus even when they tell me not to, it's going to get you in trouble eventually. That's what Christ said. We just might as well know it. That's the truth in love, guys. I'm not going to lie to you guys. The decision time will come on which side you're going to stand on. He told us, right? Now brother will deliver up brother to death. This is what I worried about. Like I said, the little freedoms. When they take them away and nobody does anything, this is what causes us to watch people being assaulted on trains, right? It's going to be your own brother that rats you out. Your own families, right? People you trusted. That's what's going to hurt the most if you decide to stick with Jesus. But like Brother Ed used to say, can you hang to the end of this thing? Because let me tell you, we can't just pick the parts out of this Bible we like. And when they crucified my Savior on the tree, he came in peace and love one time. Until now is mercy. The next time he comes back, he's going to have a flaming sword and eyes of fire. He's done playing games, folks. And what he did when he was nailed to that tree and surrendered his life and picked it back up again, He set revelation in motion and it will not be stopped. It is fulfilled. He said, it is finished. You will not deny the prophecy in Matthew and Mark and Luke and John and Isaiah and Jeremiah and Ezekiel and Revelation. It will come to pass. It is coming to pass. Christ said, learn the parable of the fig tree. When the fig tree is blooming, summer's close. And when you see these things coming to pass, don't be asleep, right? Please, wake up. Talk about Christ. Pick your side and stay on it, because they're going to do everything they can to take it away from you, right? And I said it before, I don't think God's going to accept from us, well, Lord, it just wasn't convenient to be a Christian anymore. I had to give up my comfort. Show me who was comfortable in this book. Were the disciples comfortable? Was Christ? Was anybody in this book that took a stand for God comfortable? Was David comfortable? No, but look at what happened to all the ones that stayed faithful to the end, right? Christ picked his life back up again. David became the king. This is not our world. We cannot do what everybody else does. Don't your parents, remember your parents telling you if everybody jumps off a bridge, are you going to do it too?
Depends.
If everybody else denies Christ, are we going to do it too? Because they've already convinced us to do a whole bunch of things I never thought I would see anybody in this country do. And to keep doing it against our better judgment in a lot of cases. Right? And I never thought I would see, my grandfathers fought and died for this country. My son's in the Army. I would have been in the Army, but at the time I was so against what was going on in our government that there was no way I was going to sign up for the Army. I just didn't believe in it, right? I have a lot of people in my family that have been in the military, fought and died for this idea of freedom. And I really like it. And especially because I'm free to read this book right here, right? And they've already taken some books and called them evil. What do you think the devil is using that to lead to? It's not that book he wants. It's this one. He's just making us go to sleep little by little. I'm just taking this book right here. And the funny thing is about the books they took at the time when they came out, they were the most anti-racist books out. Dr. Seuss was an anti-racist at a time when anti-racism was not popular. He took a stand, right? He took a serious stand, and now they crucified him, right? And it just makes no sense. They crucify their own. What do you think they're going to do to us when they figure out Jesus is their real enemy? And they've been trying to find their enemy. They're looking all over for their enemy. Where's our enemy? It's anyone who opposes them right now, right? That's the enemy. When they finally figure out, it's these Christian people over there, they're talking about love, talking about Christ died for everybody, talking about freedom, right? Because Christ did say the truth will set you free, right? God's intention for his creation is not for us to enslave and hate and beat and punish each other. He loves us all the same amount. No matter how tall or short or fat or skinny or what color we are or whether we're men or women or something in between that or whatever we do, no matter where we came from, his only plan for humanity was for us to discover love, him. That was it. We're the ones that do all these other things. This idea of one class being in charge of another class and one color being better than another color and one color being more racist than another color, it's nonsense. It's absolute flat out nonsense. And I'm getting to a point where I'm tired of hearing it. You couldn't figure out what race I was if you tried. I guarantee you I have at least 2 kinds of Native American, Irish, English, African American, and I don't even know what else in my blood. And I don't care. Who cares? So what? They're trying to force us to pick a side between black and white. They're leaving out a bunch of people in the middle. And the funny thing is, there's very few people even on this earth that are 100% black or 100% white. And what the heck is white anyways? There's like 35 countries that quote unquote white people come from. So be a little bit more specific. They have no logic in their arguments. That's what I'm trying to point out, right? But they convince us there's logic in there. Because that's what the devil does, right? He convinced Eve, no, If you go ahead and do this thing that God told you not to do, it's just that God don't want you to be smart, right? He don't want you to know what he knows. And in reality, God didn't want us to take on the weight of the responsibility of having that knowledge. Because once you have the knowledge of sin and you sin anyways, you're accountable for that sin. And he didn't want us to be accountable. We chose it, right? And that's what the devil is trying to do us right now, is to get us to choose hate. Choose it. Because it sounds like love, right? But when there's a division in it, it can't be love, right? And we as Christians should be able to very easily see these things. If you see somebody trying to put a bunch of people here and a bunch of people there and a bunch of people there and get them to not like each other, that ain't love. That has nothing to do with God, right? That has nothing to do with God's plan for anything. That's hate. And the devil's working hard to make sure that it happens, right? And we're participating in it a lot of times. He says, you're going to be hated by all men for my name's sake. But he who endures to the end will be saved. Everybody's going to hate you for Jesus. And I'm starting to realize that. And it's okay. It doesn't really matter, right? I made a choice, and I'm going to stand with Jesus to the end no matter what happens. And the awesome thing about Jesus that I know is he's the one that parts seas and opens up the earth and swallows up entire tribes of people. And he's the one that rains down fire from heaven and brings down bread from heaven and brings down water from heaven. He can take care of me when I can't even take care of myself. And I know that if he's taking care of me all the way through the beginning of this pandemic till now, he will take care of me from now until the day he pulls my cord. Because he is the one that holds my life support machine in his hands.
Amen.
I had to learn that very young, unfortunately, when my friend was murdered. I blamed myself for a long time because I was there. And I wondered, what could I have done, Like, how could I have stopped this from happening? Why couldn't I stop this from happening? I suck, I wish I could have stopped this from happening. Then I realized, it didn't matter. No matter what, that point in time was due to intersect with his life. And there was nothing I could have done to change that, right? And each of us has a beginning of an end. We all got to decide. I finally took comfort in the fact that even though he was young, he had Christ. And he didn't end that day. He just went on to something else, right? And I know that too for all of us. And we can just hold on to Jesus and try to go from here and try to tell people, even though they're going to tell you, you're stupid. I don't want to hear about God. God is not even real. Tell them anyway, right? Try to make an effort. I'm not saying, beat a dead horse or anything like that, but tell them a few times. Move on to somebody else. Try to change somebody else, right? And he says, when they persecute you in this city, flee to another. For assuredly I say to you that you have not gone through the city of Israel before the Son of Man comes. You're not going to finish your work before I get back, right? They're going to chase you from here to there. And you see, that's what worries me the most about what I see going on in our society right now. It's because we're making that very possible. We're making it very possible for there to be different classes and different groups of people that can be persecuted. Think about this for a second. If you're a minority, isn't that term highly offensive? Just that term in itself. It's offensive to me. And most people would say I'm not one, right? But it's really offensive right out of the gate. And people need to think about that because it's automatically placing you on a lower plane. Because think about music, right? You have major and you got minor. Think about prophets, major prophets and minor prophets. What's bigger and what's smaller? When you classify a whole group of people and say they're a minority, what are you really saying? If you classify a whole group of people and say that you're the victim and this other group over here is the oppressor of you, what are you really saying? You have no ability. You don't have the ability to be anything other than this thing that I just told you that you were, right? Your only ability is to be a victim because the natural ability of these other people is to be oppressive to you. And whether people realize that or not, I'm going to get in trouble for this. That's true white supremacy right there. And I hate white supremacists more than anybody. I promise. Because look at me. You know how many times I've been called one in my life? Or Nazi or a skinhead or anything else, and it couldn't be further from the truth. You know, I don't like them. But that's true white supremacy, when you can convince somebody without them knowing it that you're actually educating them to be a lesser human being. And that's what's going on. I have to say the truth. That's what I see. When you take a whole group of people and tell them, well, the only thing you're capable of doing is being a victim, so you don't have to read when you graduate because you're not capable of reading. You don't have to get a voter ID because you're not capable of getting an ID or making a photocopy because you're not intelligent. That's what they're really saying to people. And I find it highly offensive, and I wish people that do classify themselves as minorities would start finding it highly offensive and saying, wait a minute, I'm not a minority. I'm a human, just like everybody else. God said we're all the same. I'm not a minor this or a that or a victim. These other people are not oppressors. To me, they're not better than I am. There's nobody less than you. There's nobody better than you. Christ said, I loved you all. If one died for all, then everybody was dead. Right? That's the truth of the matter right there. Let me finish this, and I want to read one other passage and we'll stop. It says, a disciple is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for a disciple that he be like his teacher, and a servant be like his master. If they have called the master of the house Beelzebub, right? They said Christ was Satan. They said he was possessed. That's what the religious leaders of the time said. He has a devil, right? How much more will they call those of his household? If that's how they felt about Christ, how are they going to really feel about us, right? Therefore, do not fear them. There is nothing covered that will not be revealed, and hidden that will not be known. And I prayed that this morning on the way over here. Lord, please expose the truth in everything that's going on around us. Just make the truth come, just expose it. Please. Because I want to know the truth, guys. It's not like I want to take this position or that position. I'm just tired of being lied to. And I know we're being lied to. I mean, come on. If you watch, I don't care which side or which channel of the news you watch, by the end of the week, if you can't figure it out that they lied to you on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and Thursday, I feel sorry for you. And it don't matter which agenda you're watching, because they're both pushing an agenda. It's ridiculous, you know. I just believe in the Constitution. Here, furthermore, I start and put myself in the box as a constitutionalist, whatever that is, since I have to be in a box, right? I'll make my box and put myself in there. I just want her to be free when she's grown, and my grandkids, and my kids' kids, and their kids. I want them to be able to have kids and be able to enjoy prosperity and be able to enjoy freedom and be able to enjoy the pursuit of happiness. That's a good thing, folks. And you ain't going to get it anywhere else but what's left of this country. And I pray that we are wise enough to realize how blessed we are and say we're blessed and try to take hold of what's left of freedom and put it back together before it's too dang late for us to do that, right? Don't fear those that can kill the body but can't kill the soul, but rather fear him who is able to destroy both the soul and body in hell. He says, aren't 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin, and not one of them falls to the ground apart from your Father's will? But the very hairs of your head are all numbered. Do not fear, therefore, you are more value than many sparrows. Therefore, whoever will confess me before men, him will I also confess before my Father is in heaven. But whoever denies me before men, him will I also deny before my Father who is in heaven. And that doesn't matter if they're going to take away your house, your car, your job, your electricity, your heat, anything that makes you comfortable, whatever you love. If you deny him, for whatever the reason may be, he's going to deny you too. And if you won't stand up and speak for him because you're scared, you're ashamed, you're afraid of what you might lose, that they might take you out of your job or take you from this place or not allow you to go into that place or do whatever because you won't speak about Christ, then he's not going to tell the Father, yeah, I died for him. I died for her. Yeah, they're good. Come on in. Come on into the kingdom, right? They had the courage when things got a little bit rough down there on planet Earth. They had the strength to go ahead and stand up and tell the truth anyway. right? Because up until now, we've had it super easy to be a Christian, right? We might get made fun of a little bit or something, but I mean, it's been super easy, right? Too easy, really, if you read the Bible. And I know every day that I've been praying for wisdom a lot over the past couple of years, because I thought it says in the Bible, if you don't have wisdom, pray for wisdom. And I said, well, I definitely don't have any wisdom, so I'm going to start praying for wisdom, right? And the Bible says with knowledge comes sorrow, right? And I've noticed lately I've had a heavier and heavier heart because I see exactly what's going on. And it scares me to death in a lot of ways, right? I know God is in charge. And I know as long as I stick to Him and what He said, I'm going to be okay. Until I'm not anymore, right? Like my son tells his troops, you're going to be okay till you're not anymore. Then you're going to know it. And that's the truth. It's the truth, right? But whoever denies me before men, him will I also deny before my Father's in heaven. He said, do not think that I came to bring peace on earth. I did that already, right? And this is the part where Christians start acting like this part of the Bible don't exist, right? I did not come to bring peace here. I did that already. You didn't want peace, right? You did not want peace. This time when He comes back, we're going to be knee deep in the hoopla, right? We're going to be neck deep in the stinky. It's not going to be pretty anymore. It already was pretty till now. We could just tell anybody we wanted to about Jesus. We didn't have to suffer anything for being a Christian, right? But I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. I have come to set a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies will be those of his own household, right? He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me, and he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And that's a pretty intense statement right there. Because He wanted you to understand, He wanted me to understand, He wants us all to understand how heavy it's going to get. That's a heavy love that you have between a father and a mother, or a son and a daughter. It goes even beyond your personal relationships with your spouse, right? It's a more deeper love. And Christ wanted us to understand that this is how rough it's going to get, folks. If you're not willing to love me more than you love anything, you're going to deny me. Because they're coming to make you deny me, right? Like I said, when Satan figures out, when he finally opens his little minion's eyes and they figure out who the enemy really is, they're going to come make you deny Christ. They did it to Peter, right? They made him deny Christ. He did it. And Christ told him you'd do it. And Christ is trying to warn us, this is going to happen to you too, right? Last scripture here, this is a prayer. I'm going to skip the rest of my lesson, but this is a prayer in John 17. And I really like it because it's the prayer that Christ prayed for us. And I want to read it today and as a prayer over all of us in our little church. This is John 17 in case you ever want to remember later. It says, Jesus spoke these words. He lifted his eyes to heaven and said, Father, the hour has come. Glorify your Son, that your Son may also glorify you. As you have given him authority over all flesh, that he should give eternal life to as many as you have given him. And this is eternal life, that they might know you, the only true God, in case anybody was wondering, the only true God, the only one. It's not up for debate anymore, right? And we've left it up to debate for a long time. It's not up to debate. The only true God. And Jesus Christ, whom you have sent. I have glorified you on the earth. I have finished the work which you have given me to do. And now, O Father, glorify me together with yourself, with the glory which I had with you before the world was, because he was always the plan. That's what we don't realize. The sacrifice this man made, it was not like he was just some weak man that came down here saying some words, and we nailed him on a cross, and oh, it's so sweet, he died for the world. No. He was going to die for us before the world was even created, right? He was there, ready to do what he had to do to set us free. That blows my mind. I was playing this song for Rosa yesterday, one of my songs I wrote called I Believe, and there's a line in this song, and I don't take credit for writing any of these lyrics or anything, but it says, I realize that you traded your life for mine. And then it says, as you wiped my tears away, you said, son, I died to set you free. And I teared up. While I was singing, playing the guitar, I choked up. I just kept singing anyway. But it hit me like a ton of bricks. Like, ain't nobody love anybody like that. At all. To love me that way, to die to set me free, how could I not pick his side? Even if it means everything that I love. Because nothing loves me that way, right? What was I not going to pick his side when he loved me enough to die for me? Because I don't see anybody else volunteering to do that, right? And probably you don't either for you. Probably people that love you, but not that kind of way, man. When I'm no good to him, when I'm no good to God, even though I try, I don't love him the way I should, but he said it, just believe in me, man, I got you. So all you got to do is believe, because that's all you can do anyway, right? I have manifested your name to men whom you have given me out of the world. They are yours, you gave them to me, and they have kept your word. Now they have known all things which you have given me, which are from you. For I have given to them the words which you have given me, and they have received them, and have known surely that I came forth from you, and they have believed that you sent me. I pray for them. I do not pray for the world, but I pray for them, for those whom you have given me, for they are yours, and all mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I am glorified in them. And I am no longer in the world, but these are in the world, just like we're in the world right now, right? We're here. We're here now. And I come to you, Holy Father, keep through your name those whom you have given to me, that they may be one as we are one. While I was with them in the world, I kept them in your name. Those whom you have given me, I kept. And none of those is lost except for the son of perdition, Judas Iscariot, right? That the scripture might be fulfilled. But now I come to you, and these things I speak in the world, that they may have my joy fulfilled in themselves. I have given them your word, and the world has hated them because they are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. I do not pray that you should take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil one. They are not of the world, just as I am not of the world. Sanctify them by your truth. Your word is truth. As you sent me into the world, I have also sent them into the world, and for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they might be sanctified by the truth. I do not pray for these alone, but also for those who will believe in me through their words. Right? We have a job to do. And he's already praying for the work that we haven't done yet. And we got to do work. Our time window is closing down in the grand scope of creation till now. It may not be in our lifetimes that we see the end of the world come to pass, right? But in the great scope of things, that window is closing and closing and closing.